Hey guys, it's Will, and one of the most innovative markets that you can be investing in 2025, it's going to be AI, it's going to be quantum, but it's also going to be space tech. And we like to cover space tech stocks on this channel. If you'd like to stay up to date, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button. Let's get into it. So today, we're jumping into some of our space tech watch list, taking a look here at Rocket Lab. Now, one of my best friends that I grew up with, who we've had multiple software companies together. I've built different projects with him, even went to school with him growing up. He works at Rocket Lab. His name's Ben Fogiel, and he's a great engineer. He's one of their best engineers when it comes to their software development. And I really admire the Rocket Lab mission and how much they've grown. Been really aware of this company for the past 3 years or so, and they are innovating in the rocket space. They launch rockets into space for other companies. They launch satellites as a result of doing that for other companies, and they're innovative. They are one of the most innovative companies that may be seen as a competitor with SpaceX. So you can see back here in 2024, they're around $3.50. They started shooting up and then basically took off into November to where they soared up to $33 by late January 2025. So this was a trend that started to develop. You could see, you can kind of see this trend. It's actually a little more of a support, a rising support and a rising resistance there. So you can kind of see this trend that was happening on that was starting to take place, and then you can see that resistance starting to act now as a support potentially, and now we're into this new trend here that is taking place the past 3 months, essentially back from November. And you could see that this trend is kind of like this, right? So we got this rising support and resistance, and it's fairly bullish. You can see it's been swinging back and forth. Started at $22, pushed up here to that 28 price point. It's been kind of holding above this 200-day moving average, that green line. This is a line that oftentimes it's going to act as a support or a resistance, and so that's something to consider. As we start to get down into a closer time frame over the past few weeks, you can see that there is this, in the trend going to be another trend, and we'll get into some of the other analysis, but you can see here's a trend. This is a resistance. This is kind of the downtrend of it going down in that trend. All right, so in that instance, you have it at a support now. That's a previous resistance. There's a support, resistance, support. And so now this is most likely going to be the point at which Rocket Lab bounces if it's going to continue in this trend. So you see how I kind of mapped that out. This right now is pretty clearly going to be that level at which it most likely would bounce if it continues its bullish momentum. Now, a couple things to consider. There's been a lot of funding for AI. There's been a lot of funding for different parts of quantum. We could see $2.6 billion quantum initiatives, the $500 billion Stargate AI. You got the DARPA for quantum. But also, when we look at the space industry, I don't know that they're really getting the same amount of funding. And one thing to note is they have a contract that's pretty big that we'll get into, but this move here is pretty significant. It's about a 25% increase. We've seen it happen in about 1 day previously. So it's possible, and we'd like to see what happens. And we'll be looking at it at Market Open Tuesday if you guys would like to be there. It's that second link down below. It's Stockmate. We have a great sale there if you'd like to be there at Market Open and see us trade it live. But when we get into this Rocket Labs look at some of their contracts, and we look at their company, it's interesting because I think it was that NASA was saying they had a contract or they were working on launching something to Mars, and it was expected to cost them something like 15 or 20 billion. And Rocket Lab came in and they told NASA, we could do it for 6 billion. So they basically said, we have the technology right now, and where we're going with this neutron rockets that they're building is most likely going to put them in a place where they could go to Mars or other parts that launch satellites for much less than most other companies. You kind of see where they're at. My friend that works at Rocket Lab works in their Long Beach, the Long Beach office, but they also have an office over in, I believe it's New Zealand, but don't quote me there, or Australia. I think it might be Australia. We open access to space to improve life on Earth. You can see they've launched 209 satellites launched by Electron. They have 1,700 satellites on orbit with Rocket Lab technology, and they have 150 years in cumulative space rocket lab technology. I think it's probably more than that if you add in some of the other the new hires that they're adding. I mean, I would imagine it's more than 150 years from idea to orbit, and that's also kind of an interesting stat. From idea to orbit. So if you have something that you want to launch into space, you can actually talk to them and potentially launch. You can see right now I could go, I don't know if they'll allow me to launch right now, but it's on SpaceX to where you can say, hey, I'd like to be a part of a mission. I'll pay you so and such money so I can book my launch right now. And if I got a couple extra $1 million that I'm willing to put in, then they will give me a quote on how much it will cost. SpaceX has a similar process. They show you how much it will cost right then and there, though. But this one's probably a little more hands-on. They're a smaller company, so they probably reach out to you via phone. You can see the interesting thing about their rocket here is that it's carbon composite. So carbon composite or carbon fiber is going to be tremendously lighter than rockets that are built out of steel or iron. So when you have a lot of the rockets, for example, at SpaceX are built out of not carbon composite, they're built out of steel. And so they're going in with carbon composite, which kind of makes you think about, we're looking at satellites. We're looking at a market here, a space market that's growing massively, and we'll get into the financials here with the market. But there's also the cooler space technology. And it kind of makes you think, this is a company, they work with NASA and Department of Transportation and Lockheed Martin. So they work on batteries that are they're meant to resist extreme temperatures and be able to function lithium-ion batteries in space. And one of the things they do with their thermal management, I don't know if I can go into it too much. It's not based on that, but they focus on carbon fiber and carbon composite makeup of their battery systems. And so the reason I bring that up is because, I think this is a carbon composite. This is a direction that a lot of space tech is going because it's light and it potentially could conduct heat more efficiently or propel heat or repel heat easier. Okay, so you can see some stats on their rockets. You could also see some of the companies that they work with, and they have their software as well. They got space software that's kind of in the ballpark of my friend that works at Rocket Lab, as he's a software engineer. And you can see some of the software partnerships and companies kind of, I don't think they're subsidiaries, but different kind of products that they have here. A complete spacecraft simulation, a flight-proven off-the-shelf flight software providing foundation for complex space missions. So they're, really positioning themselves for what could be an exponential curve in the space exploration industry. And when we look at Rocket Lab, we know they've soared from $3 to $30 in the past, basically 3 or 4 months. But when we look at their stock and we look at their financials, this is where things, see, RKLB stock. We take a look at their overall market cap. They're at 14 billion. It wasn't long ago that they were under a billion. We go to financials, and you can see up year over year in their revenue. They made $104 million in revenue. So their year over year was up 55%. Net income down about negative 51 million, so they are not profitable, but you can see that their revenue is getting up there, which is good. Their earnings per share, they've been beating consistently. They just had their first beat of earnings per share and revenue there in September, which was for quarter 3 of 2024. And so to see them surprise about 13% on earnings per share and then 2.36% on revenue shows that they're starting to get some nice contracts. So there it is, headquarters in Long Beach, California, and they've been growing significantly. The thing that we're thinking about, a lot of people, they look at all these space techs and immediately they just buy it. But Rocket Lab it's been a company that while it's had explosive growth, it's also been very consistent. Even when it was before it kind of exploded upward here, it was quite consistent. Then it exploded and it's been quite consistent. And so now we're seeing Rocket Lab selling down to here, looking like, hey, if it is healthy, continues this consistency of trending upwards, maybe it doesn't happen just like this. Maybe it drags out a lot further and takes some time to get there. But I see this as very likely for Rocket Lab in the near future. So we'll see what happens at market open. Their market's growing fast. The news for the company is good. They have some great partnerships. They've been launching for other satellite companies, like, for example, I think it's called Knice Satellites. They launched a tremendous amount of satellites for this company. You can see it on the Rocket Lab website there. And this is kind of like Starlink. They have spatial Internet of Things connectivity for humans, their activities, and their environment. So fast data. You can locate and monitor different things on the Earth, whether you're tracking to locate your assets, optimize your activities, or reduce risk for wildfires because you can see them from up above. They are in a lot of different industries, from environment, agriculture, maritime infrastructures, transport, and energy. And this company that is another partnership with Rocket Lab, and they're able to launch their satellites up into space because they're partnered with Rocket Lab. So with that being said, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the market, but imagine this is a move we could potentially see happen. If you'd like to be there at market open and see us trade live, see our entries, exits, and surround yourself with other traders and investors. We're also going to be releasing our earnings for this week, as we do with our price targets over here in StockMate. We have our earnings for all the companies in tech, AI, space, and quantum coming out this week. And then if you want to see the events, we have our live trading again on Tuesday. And there's also learning materials from technicals to fundamentals, as well as crypto and options if you'd like to learn there. If you want to surround yourself with other traders and investors, that's the place, StockMate. There's a great sale in the second link down below if you'd like to join us at market open on Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.
Hit that like button.
Smash the like button. Smash it.
Wait.
What do you have to say to them?
Hit that like button.
Hit it or hit it?
Hit it.